how do you think things went with the schedule you ended up using and getting back immediately afterward?
Obviously the game worked out our way, so the schedule seemed to work out in a decent way. I talked to our leadership group today, and they felt better than they did a year ago at Nevada, going out to the field and stuff. So I guess it was a positive as we look at it. Sitting on a plane at 3 a.m. Central Time and not taking off yet is pretty frustrating to, again, as you're going through today's scheduling of what things are, and getting back at 6 a.m. is tough, and coming back in today and doing those things. But we're not the only team in the country that has to do that now. But you wish it was looked at in the big picture sometimes.
Lance, obviously you and Dion kind of very different personalities, but
What makes you say that?
I think he's a little more communicative to the video. But just looking at how the team building has gone for them, do you see any similarities between the two teams in the early years?
I have a lot of respect for Coach Sanders and Coach Prime and how he's gone about it. And I told him that one of the first times I met him, because the thing that we do have in common is we've come up through ranks that aren't necessarily conventional to get a Power 4 football job, and that is he coached high school football. He coached at a HBCU university that doesn't have many resources, and he found a way to be successful, and he found a way to build his program and his own philosophy. And I told him that when I met him in Arizona, how much respect I had for him because of that. And in whether it be our styles or personalities, he is probably was ahead of the curve and probably being upfront about what the landscape of college football was changing and what it was going to be like and where it's heading. And that's not his fault. He's taken what's been put on us, and he's gone about building a football team that's one of the most improved in college football in a very short period of time. They're a very talented team. They're playing with a lot of confidence. Again, in all three phases, they've been highly productive, and he's got himself a really good football team with a chance to play a lot of football yet.
And just looking at Travis Hunter, obviously he's had a special year in both ends. What makes it so difficult to play against a two-way player at this level?
Well, again, he's just multi-talented in so many ways. He's going to be a first-round pick, if not the first player taken. He's a favorite to win the Heisman. He's, I joke with our strength staff all the time. Don't give me all this GPS data when the guy's playing 125 snaps a game or whatever it is. He seems to, but they've done a great job. And again, that's a credit to Coach Prime and his staff, because for him to be able to play the way he does, prepare him to get ready to play 2 game plans, know what to do, keep him as healthy as they have throughout his career is a great job of monitoring the situation. So, but he's explosive. He's a special athlete of our time, in the fact that the way his ball skills and reactions and everything that he can do as a player, his ability to make you miss as an offensive threat or when the ball is in his hands, either way makes him extremely dangerous. So it'll be a big test for both sides of the ball for us.
Have you followed their season much?
Have I followed their season? Not a ton. I forgot what game we were coming back from. The Baylor game, I caught the end of that, part on the radio and part on television. When I got home, watched a little bits here and there of them. But again, this is a team we haven't played. This is a team that we really didn't have a ton of crossover film on as far as opponents, as far as how it falls for us. So really, I'm still about a third of the way through all the film that I'll get through. But I know of just watching them in these last few weeks, they're very impressive and schematically, defensively, getting after you, being aggressive. Like I said, they're disruptive in so many ways. I know a year ago there was something. I think their offensive line is vastly improved, and again, a lot of playmakers in a lot of different areas that when they get people in space, they're tough to bring down.
We saw LJ exit the game on Saturday. Just give any update on LJ Arnold's status.
LJ did a few things today. I don't know. I'd put him in the highly questionable spot right now. Yeah, you know, lost him, and other guys had to step up, but we'll see where he's at.
Maybe you hit on it a little bit there, but with Travis, have you seen a player do what he's doing to be playing both sides of the ball at such an impressive level, going back to Division III days or something like that?
I don't remember anybody like this that plays that many snaps and that much both ways. Not, you know, usually it's a guy that might be used situationally. If it's an offensive player, maybe situationally as a nickel or something, or if it's a guy that's a corner, they'll use him in sweeps and bubble screens and things like that. To see him play as much is definitely something that's very uncommon. You know, I haven't even really had a chance. I haven't commented on Shedeur and the athlete that he is, and his ability to extend plays, his arm strength and accuracy, his ability to create first downs when he scrambles. All those things are highly impressive as well. So when they're clicking, they're awful tough to defend.
I'm curious for you guys on the back end. We've seen Taylor Davis play a lot more. How do you feel like he pairs with OJ at that safety spot in terms of where they play as a tandem?
Who's that?
Taylor
Taylor.
Davis.
You know, Taylor continues to get better. He's got a bright future. He's taking the coaching a lot better and doing some things that has made him more productive here in the last couple weeks. You know, it's a little bit of baptism by fire here. He's going through it all of having to learn on the job based on injuries versus some other way. Sometimes you can get guys, you feed them some snaps, but he continues to learn and take the coaching that DK's given him, and you see him get better. He and OJ, they're communicating on the same page a lot better, and I guess they've taken a nice step. We played Marvin back there a little bit this week as well, and we'll see what this week's game plan presents.
And then with Dean Miller, it seems like he's had more end product the last couple weeks. Just what have you seen from him since maybe that first bye week?
You know, again, he continues to get better, and you know, you worry about a guy like Dean. We've talked about his progress and everything that he's done here, and you know, at this stage of the season, if you worry about guys that wear down a little bit, but he's played a lot. He played probably a higher snap count probably Saturday than he has a bit. But he continues to, you know, and the thing I really appreciate about him is the effort level and strain in which he plays. He continues his motor runs, and again, creating pressure and disruption and trying to get Shedeur off rhythm, and is going to be important. So we'll need another big game from him.
Lance, I know Bryce Cabledew was doubtful at one time, and
Yeah.
he came in and played. What'd you see from him?
Yeah, you know, he kind of progresses. One of those we're kind of wait and see, and we probably got a lot more out of him than we anticipated. And when Logan went down, of course, we had to make another move there and move Bryce over. So Kelvin did a good job stepping in, but you know, Bryce is, you know, it's still pretty tender. We got to see where it's at, but he continues to work hard, and I thought he had a nice game.
And then what are the challenges that the safeties and corners face with the way Colorado throws it and the things they can do in space?
Well, again, like you kind of hit it right there. It's the way they can stretch it with speed and, you know, and concepts. And when they want to get the ball in people's hands, and they're aggressive at all times. But when they get the ball to guys in space, you know, you got to rally and tackle well. And you know, they've created a lot of missed tackles, you know, by secondaries across the country all year, and that'll be something that we got to be good on.
How challenging is senior day, like somewhere else?
Yeah, you know, it's again, as I've said all year, Matt, is our guys have handled things so well. I think, you know, it is what it is, and where those things are at. I think again, when you talk about part of your senior season or your college career, it's the friendships and relationships and things like that. Many times, I think you look back at things, you talk about times in the locker room, you talk about trips, you talk about bus rides, whatever those are, and hopefully that's what this group will continue to grasp onto, some of the great memories, and hopefully we'll be able to create some more here the last couple of weeks. And the thing I'll say is, got to be careful that we have a lot of guys that'll be recognized on Saturday, and though I want them to reflect and enjoy all that, it can't overtake you emotionally. That drains you so much. I've been part of some teams where that's been, where don't play very well because it becomes an emotional drain of, especially right before kickoff sometimes. So hopefully maybe that'll be a small positive of not being in Lawrence per se. But we've talked about it again, and senior day to me sometimes is like a homecoming game. It's, as a football team, it's your job to go out and play well so you have a great memory of it and win a football game. And if we can balance that, I don't want to take it away from the guys, but if we can balance those things of what the day is, hopefully we can make it a special day for them.
We ask you this every year, but your memory of this particular senior class, what will stand out to you, whether that's individually or a collective thing?
There's going to be so many with this group because, the ones that, especially the ones that were here for all four with us, the ones that stayed, the ones that believed, the ones that were really program changers in what they've done, not just on the field, but how they've gone about it daily, and have, that bought into what was being done and saw the benefits, and hopefully, when we have former players come back and watch practices and stuff, I hope that there'll be those type of guys that come back and they talk about the ones that the days when they were here and what they helped implement and put into this program.
Going back to Saturday really quickly, it was a low possession game.
Mm-hmm.
Do you go into games thinking sometimes that this is going to be a game where we think we're getting like 3 possessions, 4 possessions?
Yeah, I don't know if we necessarily break it down like that, Michael, but you could tell that there's games that we get things that talk about possessions per game and time of possession and where it's at. Yeah, we have an idea that can happen in games like that, and a 10-minute drive, is definitely one that shortened up the possession game pretty quickly in the second half.
When you do play in those more lower possession games, how does that change the way you approach it?
Well,
as an offense, defense?
yeah, you have to look at it. I think you see it in football today where you talk about whether or not are you going to go for it on fourth down, touchdowns versus field goals. All those things can be a factor depending on what's happening in the game, because if things are happening, are you going to, is it going to take a touchdown to win, or is it going to be close enough to win by a field goal? Those type of things can play a part into the decision making of going for it. That's why right before we punted, when Jalen punted, the first thing we were going to think about going for it because we were out of field goal range. But then it was because possessions were going to be a part of it, but we still thought at that time to give them, if we didn't make it at that distance of a fourth down to gain, it was let's try to pin them back and play some defense and roll the dice, so to speak, on getting the next possession in better field position.